Hello, hello. First things first, let's address the elephants in the room, my face. Those who have been following me for a little bit know that I got, excuse me, an IPL treatment not too long ago. I don't know, probably like 3 weeks ago now, which is where they zap your sun damage and it kind of makes it rise to the surface and wipe off. So I went for my follow-up appointment today, and she just did some second time through on some of the harder to remove areas. So that is kind of what we're seeing now, mainly on my forehead, but also like kind of around here a little bit. So anyway, I'm gonna look silly for another week, so oh well. This is going to be an energy reading into the prosecution. Yesterday in my video, I said what do you guys want to really see first, and it seemed as though a lot of the comments were pointing towards what the prosecution does not want the defense to have, or some variation of that. So that's what we're going to look into first here. Please remember, this is an energy reading. It is all alleged, my opinion. Not fact, my opinion. Can't stress that enough today. My opinion, not fact, my opinion. All right, so what we're gonna do here, we're gonna start off with 2 rows of 5. Because I was thinking yesterday I did going back into it with the 4 rows of 5. So this is like half of the case, because like the prosecution's half and the defense is half, kind of in this analogy in my brain. So we're just going to look into 2 rows of 5, tarot, clarifier, see what we come up with. Let's word it like this. Again, all alleged, my opinion, not fact, my opinion. Okay, so the defense has requested stuff more than once, okay? We know that. So let's word this like this. There's something that at the very least the prosecution would rather the defense not have, okay? That's at this point kind of obvious, right? So 2 rows of 5, what can we know about that? We're going to do the same thing as yesterday. From conception of I don't want them to know about this for this reason, to now what we're doing about it. 2 rows of 5. Not fact, my opinion. 5 of Pentacles. Page of Swords reversed. Right away, what that's saying to me is that, so I worded the question to be more broad, like, at the very least, I said, this is like, allegedly, my opinion, this looks like there is something that is being intentionally hidden. And it almost looks like, I guess from the prosecution standpoint, almost like, I know that it's insulting your intelligence by having to continue to play this cat and mouse game, but I have no other option. Let's see, that's what I'm getting so far. The Hierophant reverse. Yeah, it's almost like there's a piece of evidence, right? Or a piece of something. Like, the prosecution is like, I know I'm gonna, I don't know, because then they have to turn it in. This would be like if you are basing being able to use some kind of data or evidence or something based off of a loophole. I'm not going to give this now. I know I should, but I'm going to use this exact argument later as to why I have to bring it in. It's almost like I'm waiting for this to be said in court to be like, oh, okay, I actually have to use this. But I don't want to put it in yet, even though I know that this is going to come up and I know I'm going to want to use this. But I'm going to try and give some kind of argument as to why I didn't give it earlier. And I think that that is why the defense is like, no, give it again. Okay, no, we're going to try this again. Are you sure there's nothing else? Okay, are you sure there's nothing else? It's almost like the defense knows that the prosecution is doing that. So it's like, I'm going to keep doing this and doing this and doing this. And if we ask you 10 times through paperwork if there's anything else and you say no, and then we get to that moment in court where something is said and you're like, oh, by the way, I want to now put in this. I didn't think I was going to have to use it, or I didn't think it was going to be relevant, but okay, now I want to put it in. Now you can't because we asked you 10 times and you said there was nothing. It's almost like that is what's happening. Allegedly, my opinion. 5 of Wands. Conflict and disagreements. Yeah, that's the I don't know what else to say. That's the picture this is painted for me. And I know that that doesn't seem like a typical thing. Like, people who know more about this are probably like, that doesn't make sense. And I agree. I don't think it makes sense. But it's, the Hierophant in reverse is like trying a new way of doing something. To me, it's like, we have no other option. We have to try this. And if we keep it out and don't put it in, and then we try to put it in through some loophole and it doesn't work, then oh well, but it's worth it to not have it in there yet. That's what I'm getting. This is the last card in that first row. Knight of Pentacles reverse. Someone that you should be able to trust that you cannot trust, allegedly, my opinion. And the Knight of Pentacles in reverse also brings in the element of like, I know this is risky, I'm taking a gamble, I know that if I don't give this in now, or if I don't bring attention to this now, or if I don't give them what they're asking for now, that I might not be able to use that loophole, but I have no other option. That's what it seems like to me. 5 of Pentacles clarifier. Oh, evil. So 5 of Pentacles was the card that made me say how I worded it may have been a little bit more direct than that, because I said this would be like if at the least they had something that they didn't want them to see, but the 5 of Pentacles made me feel like there is something that's purposely being avoided. And then this was the clarifier. So it tends to make me believe that let's see what the other clarifiers are. It tends to make me, I'm just gonna say, it tends to make me believe that there's something that shows this was not a lone person through and through. There was some kind of something as in terms of help. Page of Swords reversed. Regret in reverse. It's the card that came out for Brent. Page of Swords reversed is like how I said, it's basically that is the piece of it that's like, okay, we know we're being asked for this, and we know that they want this specifically, and we know that later we want to use some loophole to use this specifically without putting it in right now, and they know that, and we know that they know that, but there's nothing we can do because we already showed our cards. Like, if you're like holding something back, and the other person's really adamant about getting it, but you continue to hold it back, even when they kind of call your bluff and say, okay, we're asking you for a third time. We know, I feel like that was the defense saying, we know that you're going to try and use a loophole to put this in late. So we're going to be super, super clear that we tried we gave you every opportunity to give it to us now. You chose not to, you can't use it with a loophole. I feel like that's kind of, at least in part, what the defense is doing, and why they're like, okay, let me file this again, one more, a little bit louder now, like, because they're anticipating some kind of loophole or something being used to put that through later. And if they didn't ask for it 10 times, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It would be like, oh, well, maybe it was an oversight, or I don't know how that would work. But the fact that they asked for it 10 times and still didn't get it, it's going to be a no, we can't use that. So, and I know that typically you have to put in everything beforehand. I know that it would probably cause a big stink and stir if something was added, but I feel like there's some kind of loophole that they were going to use to do that. But the defense is like, nah, you're not going to do that because I'm taking that opportunity away from you by asking for this so many times that you can't miss the fact that I'm asking for it. The Hierophant reverse. Deep State in reverse. And Celebrity upright. It's like the battle between what's being seen and televised versus what's going on behind the scenes. Deep State being reversed and Celebrity being upright tends to make me feel like the talk about, is the prosecution falling apart, may hold at least some weight, because it looks like with this Deep State in reverse, it looks like they're struggling. This is how I word this. They're struggling more behind the scenes than what it looks like on media. And in the media, it looks like they're struggling. So I guess it's just like to put it in perspective. 5 of Wands. Mountains in reverse, but these 3 came out and I want to see what they are. Oh. Cup. Cover up, outside, and witness. And mountains in reverse. Is it possible the prosecution doesn't want the defense to get a script of it's almost like the defense knows that, I don't know how to put it. Okay, so let's say I'm Brian. If I know I didn't act alone, or I know I help in this or that part of it, but I don't know how to prove that, because I know that they're trying to get just me, so they're going to disregard or push away or try to cover up anything that would point to anything that says it's not just me. So I know that the surviving roommates know that too, because they were in the house, right? it's almost like they want to know how to question the surviving roommates in order to get them to go back on part of their testimony from grand jury. I mean, these 3 cards, it's like, I know if I question these girls a certain way, I can get the truth, but I have to know what they're going with so I can know how to prepare myself. Like, I don't know. I feel like the like grand jewel of what the defense is specifically seeking has a lot to do, if not everything to do, with the surviving roommates. Knight of Pentacles reversed. Water supply. Knight of Pentacles reversed was the element of taking some kind of risk. Water supply gives me the image of like a dam breaking open, and like mix that with Knight of Pentacles in reverse, taking a risk. I'm taking a risk by not giving you this, because if I give you this, it can burst that dam open and everything else can come out. I think it has to do with the surviving roommate's testimony. I really do. But it's almost, it doesn't stop there though. It's almost like the surviving roommate's testimony could open some kind of door that Brian's team could walk through and be like, oh, look at all this other stuff there is to see, but they need someone to open that door first so they can go there. I don't know how that makes sense, but that's what I'm getting. Like legally, I don't know how that makes sense, but I'm getting the image of like, there's a door and one of the surviving roommates sitting on the testimony stand, testifying, and it's almost like the testimony in and of itself gives that person a key because they testified, and then that key can unlock this door, but like only one of them can open the door. But once the door is open, Brian's team can be like, okay, look at all the other stuff in this room, that there is to see. But like if they don't open the door, then they can't go there. I don't know how it makes sense, but that's what I'm getting as an analogy. Underneath of the 5 of Pentacles, the Fool in reverse, being careless and unprepared. I don't know if that has to do with the loophole, because 5 of Pentacles came out with the evil, and this was about them knowing that they're not giving something, or knowing that they're taking a gamble by not giving it now to try and use it in a loophole later. And the Fool in reverse is also like, I know I shouldn't do this, but I already did it. Like, under the Page of Swords reversed, the Magician in reverse, manipulation. Also, the Magician in reverse is like upright, it's making things disappear. And then in reverse, it's like making things appear out of nowhere. So it's giving me the image of, because the Page of Swords in reverse is like, we know what you're looking for specifically, and specifically we're manipulating some kind of situation, and this is also not living up to your highest potential. So it's like, is there something we could be doing that we're not? Yeah, but we're not. The Hierophant in reverse, allegedly my opinion. All of this is alleged my opinion. Knight of Wands. Is it possible, like, one of the girls said something? This is just an example, okay? So, for example, let's say one of the girls gets up on the stand and says, this happened, that happened, blah, blah, and then I heard a car screech off X amount of time later. That's not, like, the best example, but something like that. It's like something like that they're trying to capitalize on, because they're trying to be like, okay, well, how is that possible that he did that, and then the car happened that time later? Like, wouldn't there have to be... I don't know, that's not the best example, but it's like they're trying to... There's some piece of testimony that they're looking for specifically because they want to... It's almost like if you see the testimony from one way, but it's like they want to look at it from over here instead of over here and question from this angle instead of this angle in order to get them to talk about something else. So it's not like, it's not necessarily a lie, but it's like something that if you look at it very closely, it's off. And if you really dig into that, it's like, okay, in order to explain why that was off, you'd have to open that door. Oh, the door. Oh. Oh, my face is warm. Okay. 5 of Wands. Underneath of the 5 of Wands. 8 of Swords reversed. About freedom, and the cards that came up over top were these: Mountains in reverse and 5 of Wands, conflict of ego. Whatever it is that the defense is looking for, it's the example that I gave a long time ago of Brian's driving down the road. He's in this passenger, this was an analogy. So imagine someone's driving, Brian's in the passenger seat, and there's a long brick building. It's like 2 miles long brick building. There's one little glass window somewhere, but he doesn't know where. And he has one rock. And this person is going to speed pedal to the metal down this whole, let's say it's a 2 mile stretch of building. If Brian can, without knowing it, know how hard, how far to throw this rock and hit the window, he can climb out. If not, he misses the rock, he doesn't get another rock, he doesn't get another chance, and that's it. That's this. That is, I really feel as though, guilty or not, I can get this whole case to fall apart because of something that was testified about in that grand jury. So I don't necessarily think that, I don't necessarily tend to believe that the defense is worried about how the grand jury was chosen or anything like that. I think they're trying to get access to find that piece that they feel is this, is that rock that Brian can throw. Underneath of the Knight of Pentacles reversed. Ace of Pentacles reversed, taking an offer back. That's interesting. Remember how I said that the new lawyer, and I said he plays dirty? He's going to need to for this because you know how do I put this? How the families were kind of upset with the prosecution, and my face is unnumbing and it's getting really itchy. How the prosecution they were saying they don't work for the families, and they don't necessarily have to make the families happy and all that. Like, I almost feel like it's some energy similar to that, but directed at the surviving roommates, where like, in order to get Brian's defense's team's plan to work, they're going to have to do something that's going to look kind of heartless towards one of the surviving roommates in order to get the truth, or in order to get, I don't know how to explain it other than it's like a key that once you hand this key to the defense, no matter what you say in contradiction to it, it's going to be like, okay, yeah, but reasonable doubt. Okay, yeah, but undeniable reasonable doubt. Okay, yeah, but you can't ignore this reasonable doubt. Like, it's something like that. The Fool reversed. Private property. The Fool is the recklessness, the kind of knowingly holding something back. Private property. I feel like that's just a huge confirmation. Private property, no soliciting and no trespassing. Like, this is ours. You can't see it yet until we decide it's time. I know that is not like the legal way to do it, but that's why I think that analogy is important of like doing this, planning to use a loophole, the defense kind of catching on and being like, we're going to ask for this 35 times so that when you go to use the loophole, it'll be like, really? How? You didn't know you needed that? The 17 papers that I handed you 8 times? The Magician in reverse. Communication. Manipulated communication. And that's underneath of Regret in reverse and Page of Swords in reverse. So that's like, I know exactly what you're looking for, but I'm not giving it to you. And then we have manipulated communication. So I was planning on using some kind of legal lingo to get a loophole to be able to bring this in later, because I was going to give the argument that I didn't think it was going to be needed, but then when something specific came up, I realized I needed it. I don't know. I know that like would happen a lot more if it was easy to do. So it's some kind of sophisticated, well thought out loophole. It's not just as simple as that, but that's like a watered down version of what I'm seeing. Knight of Wands. False person in reverse. I really feel like what it points to is the surviving roommates having something that makes it really, 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 really hard to believe that only Brian was involved. And it's like, once you put that out there, then all the other things start to fall apart as well, because that was mainly based on him doing it by himself. Eight of Swords reversed. Hidden Key in reverse. Eight of Swords in reverse would be the card about freedom. Hidden Key in reverse came out in reverse as well. There is a way. How do I word this so it makes sense? Normally in this situation, in this type of situation where it's quadruple homicide, police have enough to indict by grand jury, all this, like, I feel like usually it would be kind of more cut and dry than it is. Like, oh, if they have a guy who killed 4 people, obviously they have a ton of evidence and it's going to be obvious, you know, in court. If they have enough to get him, they have enough to keep him, I guess. But in this case, it's not really that. So I feel like typically it would not be very practical to say, oh, there's a chance that that guy's going to get out. If it was the case of quadruple homicide, they have enough to find him, chase him across the country, and lock him up, right? But in this case, I feel like there is a possibility that he actually unlocks some kind of way to... I don't know if it's necessarily not guilty. It doesn't feel like not guilty. It feels like something other than not guilty. So I don't know if that means hung jury. I don't know if that means... I don't know. So if it wasn't not guilty, but if he's getting out, that means it's not guilty. Not if he is getting out. If he were to get out, it would mean that it wasn't a guilty, but I'm not saying it being not guilty. So if that was the case, it would either be, I guess, hung jury or the case get thrown out. I don't know. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying I do think there... It's almost like the prosecution knows about that room, the hypothetical room, and is trying to keep him from even getting anywhere close to it by like guarding the entrance. I don't know how else to explain it. And I know that that doesn't sound like what is allowed to happen. I don't know. That's what I'm getting. And then Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Meeting. Ace of Pentacles in reverse would be about taking back an offer. Above that, we have the Knight of Pentacles reverse, which allegedly, in my opinion, in this reading is representing the prosecution not being able to be all the way trusted, allegedly, in my opinion. And that is the water supply. It's like we're trying to protect that dam from bursting open. Meeting an Ace of Pentacles is if we're not able to use your testimony or what you told us turned out not to be true, we're not able to give you whatever deal you had before. So I don't know if that means that there was some kind of tell us the truth and you won't get in trouble for waiting almost half a day to call the police after these people were murdered. I don't know. Okay, so it's quite obvious that Kaylee's father, Steve, knows something that we don't. That's very obvious. What can we know about what he knows and how he's planning to use it, or what he's planning to do with what he knows? So 2 rows of 4. Justice. I told you Steve is not stopping until he... And Wheel of Fortune. 7 of Swords. And the Tower reversed. This basically gives me the vibe of okay, fine, I'll sit back and wait while you do it your way, and then we'll see if that is actual justice. Because if it's not, I will be taking it into my own hands. Or if your version of justice doesn't feel like justice, we're gonna move forward with my version of justice and figure out how I can get what feels like true justice. Because if it's not true justice, then to me, there's things going on in the dark that need to be brought to light. And right now, I'm kind of being quiet because, as I said, we're gonna sit here and play your game and make sure that you get justice before I have to step in and expose things that are being concealed. Because right now, I'm avoiding stepping in and making any scene, because if I do that, that doesn't give me the opportunity to see if you would really do full justice or not. I'm giving you the chance to show me that you can. If not, what is done in the dark comes to light. Underneath of justice, Three of Pentacles. I really feel as though Steve is like, you can convince me all day this is the guy, but can you convince me that he worked alone? Eight of Wands underneath of the Wheel of Fortune. There it is, the Chariot. So Eight of Wands underneath the Wheel of Fortune is like, I know that you're telling me what you feel like I need to hear to get me out of the way so that we can kind of wait and see how justice unfolds here. And in a big way, I think that he's like, okay, I hope that we go in there, and I hope that I feel, and we all feel like justice is truly served, because then, okay, we can move on and we can heal. But if it's not, I'm not going to sit down and shut up. And the Chariot came out underneath the Seven of Swords. Again, I really feel like he's not convinced that this was a solo act. It's either that and or because the Chariot underneath the Seven of Swords could be, why are we being hush-hush about certain pieces of this? Or why are certain people even just fine to go on about their lives? Like maybe that as well, a little bit of that as well. Under the Tower reversed, the Devil reversed. I'm quiet now because I agreed to let you have your swing at things and see how you can do, but it honestly gives me the feeling of, for Steve, there will be justice one way or another, because either you're going to give my daughter justice, or I'm just going to scream it from the rooftops what I feel like needs to be said after this and not care what happens to me. But either way, my daughter's getting justice. That's what it feels like. And not that the other parents don't feel that way as well, because obviously they do, but I almost feel like there's a piece of this that some of the other parents may not believe, that Steve is like, I feel like that might hold more weight than we're made to believe. And if there's not justice, then we're going to open the door. Justice. Intuition. Wow. It's convinced me. Convinced me that he did this alone, because something inside of me is telling me that he didn't, in terms of Steve. Or some version of, there's more to see here, why aren't you showing me it? Or more specifically, why are you trying so hard to make me not see it? Wheel of Fortune. Propaganda in reverse, fake news. Truth. I want the truth. I want to see the truth, not what the media has to say, not what has to go through this process of filtering some of the info, because only other info can go through. Like, I want all of it. Seven of Swords. Faked death. I don't know. I'm gonna get a clarifier for fake death. Party. I'm gonna get one more clarifier for that. Murder, suicide. I allegedly, my opinion, I guess it's possible that Steve doesn't really believe that all the mysterious, non-coincidental deaths in the area are completely unrelated. Which I'm not, because I don't agree with him. I do agree with him. I just didn't know if he was connecting those dots, but the Tower in reverse. Bioweapon in reverse. I wouldn't be all the way surprised if something goes wonky with this case, or it just feels at the end like something's still missing. I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of move comes from Steve where you're like, whoa, he's swinging for the fences. And I know he filed paperwork to potentially sue and all that, so that could be obvious, but it's more than that. I don't know if it's pointing towards the way in which it's done, the intensity in which it's done, or I don't know if it means that it gets bigger than that. Like, okay, I'm going to skip you and go to the next step. I don't know. But I wouldn't be all the way surprised, again, if it gets to the end of trial and there's like when you eat a meal and you're just not all the way full. Like, you're like, oh, I wish I could just have a couple more bites. That, like, if there's a couple more bites, Steve's swinging for the fences. Three of Pentacles. Sad in reverse. The Eye. I don't know, I just keep getting brought back to the same thing of like, he wants to be convinced that he's the only one. He wants to be convinced that there's not other people that should be in jail next to him. Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands would kind of be about shutting him up so that certain paths aren't explored until later. Certain topics aren't brought up, I guess I should say. The Chariot. We got a whole bunch, and I don't usually do the whole bunch, but we're gonna try them, see what happens. So we got the Chariot, Affluent in reverse, for some reason, and I know this isn't like really what this card would typically be, but it's giving me the image of like somebody was owed a favor and now that favor's paid. Oh, missing piece. Chariot, missing piece. Chariot's under the Seven of Swords. Anger, accident, beach in reverse, no in reverse, dating in reverse, road in reverse, and yes upright. We had no in reverse, yes upright. Oh, these cards usually talk about this card. I'll say this. I think that there are people who want to be all the way convinced by the end of this trial that, one, Brian acted completely alone. Obviously that Brian's the right person, but that the person acted alone. And if there's more to see, I really think that that is what this whole pile was referring to. If there's more to see and I don't feel like justice was all the way served, I'm going to try and shed light on it because that's the only way I feel like I can get true justice. The Devil reversed. Weird Science reverse and Crossroad reverse. And that came out underneath a bioweapon in reverse. I don't want to get too much more into it because I feel like it's kind of repeating the same message but just going a little bit more into it, and I don't want to do that. There was one more thing I wanted to look into. I forget. Hold on one second. Okay, so 2 rows of 4. How Brian sees the trial going, I guess. Like when he envisions it in his mind based off of the plan that him and his team have, what does his plan look like unfolding? 2 rows of 4. Queen of Pentacles reversed. Ten of Pentacles reversed. That to me reads like I'm going to turn my back on the link. I'm going to expose something deeper. Because the Ten of Pentacles would be the roots of it, and the Queen of Pentacles is in reverse, so it's like knocking her off her throne, taking her down. The Ten of Pentacles reverse is the connection between the two. 8 of Cups, searching for truth and judgment. and the Emperor, and the Knight of Swords reversed. What did I say? 2 rows of 4. So yeah, the Emperor then would be underneath of the reversed Queen of Pentacles. I choose me over you. Knight of Swords reversed underneath of the 10 of Pentacles reversed. Gives me the image of like him like literally like slicing the tie like the between people. Underneath of the 8 of Cups reversed. Two of Cups. This hasn't really looked like this to me yet until this moment, but what this almost looks like to me is like when like a parent has Munchausen syndrome and the child is like still convinced that the parent loves them and is like still trying to do their best or something because they don't know otherwise. This almost looks like that with the Link. Like he finally had this realization that she's not on my team. Under Judgment, Strength in reverse. There's some big move coming from the defense soon, but it's going to be very private or something. It looks like when you would maybe hold on, let me see. So I'm going to do this different. So I'm going to pull a clarifier for the combination of the Queen of Pentacles reversed with the Emperor. Boat. I was just about to say this would almost be like if you call like a surprise. A surprise witness, but not a witness to like the crime, like a witness to, I don't know. Ten of Pentacles reversed, Knight of Swords reversed. Secret space program. It would be like somebody that you wouldn't expect to be, I don't know if that's the right word. Not necessarily that you wouldn't expect, but someone that you'd be like, oh wow, that person's going to bat for Brian. Like, I don't, and maybe not by choice, but by subpoena or something. I don't know. 8 of Cups and 2 of Cups. Revenge in reverse, and another one fell out. Love upright. Revenge in reverse. It's almost like there's like some kind of move coming that was going to be made much later in the trial that's being made earlier because of that push and pull with information or evidence. Judgment and Strength in reverse. Home in reverse. The fact that they didn't find certain things, such as like victim's blood, I guess, in the car or something like that. There's a bunch of things like that, obviously, but there's one of them that's going to be really significant. I don't know what it is yet, but there's like something that we didn't find, as in the prosecution. The prosecution has something that we didn't find specifically, that the defense is going to hammer in, like, why didn't you find this? Why didn't you? It's not the knife, though, because that would be the obvious thing. It's not the knife. I almost feel like it's the lack of DNA in the car, but I almost feel like it's even less obvious than that. It's clothing, maybe? There's gonna be a focus on something. But it like, let's say it was the clothing. It would have to be like, if he was very meticulous about what outfits he had and knew what he had and everything was still there. Like, it would be like that. I don't think it's that, though. I don't know. All right. What is Brian's current energy right now? In reverse, Danu, mother of creation, motherhood, ferocity, creation. We also had the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. I don't even know how to make sense of that. Mother of creation. Ferocity in reverse. I would translate that to, he's probably having some difficulty, which makes sense, like kind of like wanting to get up out of bed and keep pushing. And I think it's related to ferocity in reverse. It's like, I want to just scream it from the rooftops, but I know that I have to be patient and wait for my time. And I think that is what is stressful for him, because it's like almost like once you're, how do I put this? Him in prison is like, I'm not focused on day to day. I'm not breaking up my life in day to day. I'm breaking up my life in, okay, this is what happens in this court appearance, and then I need to be ready for this next one. So it's like the days in between don't matter. It's just the time of preparing for the next chapter of it, I guess. That's what I'm getting. Please remember, this is all alleged, my opinion, not fact. Okay, we're going to do one more thing. What details can we have about anything that is in or talked about, or anything that relates to what the prosecution either wants to, or is trying to, or would rather have the defense not know about? What are some details of that? We're gonna do 5 cards. Assassination, outer space. The 2 people in the car. Drugs and poison in reverse. Last card. A second person. Drugs. Assassination. Outer space gives me the image of like how everything is kind of, it can be very spread out, but it's still in the same sky. And these things are connected. Allegedly, my opinion, no facts. Have a good day.